This is going to be the strongest natural alternatives that mirror Adderall's subjective effects of increased motivation, mood, and memory. So I'm not going to lie to you either. There's no absolutely perfect natural alternative that mirrors everything perfectly. By hitting on the same pharmacological targets, we can get 80% of the way there. The way Adderall works is it acts as a dopamine reuptake inhibitor, a dopamine releasing agent, a TAR1 agonist, impacts VMAT2 and serotonin minorly. One of the best natural solutions to this is cat yuba bark and D-L-phenylalanine. So cat yuba is something that's found naturally in the Amazon, and it has a crazy mechanism where it's a dopamine releasing agent and a dopamine reuptake inhibitor like Adderall, and it's very potent if you look at some of the studies on screen. The only downside about it is that there's no good standardized extract on the market, because with the Amazon it is kind of a hotbed of discovery, so a lot of these interesting herbs or plants don't have pre-existing reference standards to standardize an extract and a product around. So it is not an if, it's a when. Hopefully Nootropics Depot gets on it and can solve that issue. The reason you want to pair it with D-L-phenylalanine is because it converts into phenylethylamine, which is our body's endogenous TAR1 agonist. So combining these together can hit on most of those targets of Adderall, except in a weaker way. And one of the common trends here is dopamine reuptake inhibition, where you inhibit the transporter taking away dopamine so it can exhibit its effect in the synaptic cleft longer, giving you stronger physiological dopaminergic effects. And another alternative is saffron, surprisingly. You know, it's just a spice that you put on rice to make everything taste nice, but surprisingly it's very effective for ADHD and therefore could be considered an alternative. And even in the study in 2019, it was showed that saffron has a parity of effectiveness with methylphenidate with Ritalin at 30 milligrams to 30 milligrams, which is insane because it's just a spice. And the reason why it would do this is because it's a 5-HT2C inhibitor, which is a serotonergic receptor that controls the release of the catecholamines within the prefrontal cortex. So because it inhibits this, it increases levels of those neurotransmitters in the prefrontal cortex, which is what ADHD medication does indirectly. It's a slight monoamine A inhibitor, and it is a weak triple reuptake inhibitor as well. So there's a bunch of different dopaminergic mechanisms, and it is very good. Honestly, when I take it, I get brighter colors, I get an appetite suppression, and I get more motivation and honestly more clarity. I feel like my working memory is better, where I can solve problems easier, quicker, whatnot. It really has a dose dependent effect, where I found low doses are more stimulating, around 15 milligrams, higher doses around 30 milligrams are more sedating. So if you take it and you notice that pro-serotonergic effect of kind of laziness, good mood, more vibrant colors, I would just half the dose, and then you'll notice that more pro-motivation effect from it. This is a herb that I found out about a year ago when I was busy on Twitter browsing how the world is on fire, and I saw that this was included in a nootropic formulation, and I was kind of curious. I was like, okay, what's the benefit with this? And I saw that it was dopamine reuptake inhibitor, and so I started investigating on PubMed, and I saw there was quite a few clinical trials specifically showing its effects for ADHD and its effects for increasing dopamine. And I was like, oh, that's kind of interesting. And then I saw on iHerb it was like $20, so I was like, let me try it. And I did try it, and immediately I noticed that pro-dopaminergic effect where brain a little bit more quiet and I can focus on what I need to. I have a bit more autonomy of my attention and I can direct it to what I need to in that moment. And with it, it only lasts like 3 to 4 hours, which can be a beneficial thing because it's easy to implement into your life. And surprisingly, it is very potent anti-cancer effects. It can lower inflammation quite significantly, and it can overall improve gut support. So it can be a good thing to try. Another tool in your tool belt. Polygala is really the Swiss Army knife of a nootropic because it hits on a lot of different mechanisms, where primarily it is triple reuptake inhibitor for dopamine, norepinephrine, and serotonin. Secondarily, it is a glutamate receptor modulator. And thirdly, it increases neurotrophic factors of BDNF and GF. So it does a lot of different stuff, and it is very effective for what it does do. Or even so, at this present moment, it is being investigated by the FDA, an isolated extract from it for improving symptoms of ADHD, because there is a very powerful mechanism here where it's a dopamine and a norepinephrine reuptake inhibitor, therefore increasing levels in the prefrontal cortex and lowering symptoms of ADHD. And so you have the inside scoop for everybody else, and the effects work better sublingually, and those effects are just a heightened alertness, improved motivation, better mood. And it's one of those things that the more you take it, the better the effects become, because it has a lot of neuroprotective effects, and those neurogenesis anti-inflammatory effects can build up over time. Finally, there is Subroxy, which is the aforementioned aforementioned alternative to Ritalin in a natural way because it shares a lot of similarities. When I first tried this, I was kind of shocked that it is exactly what it says it is, where it is a dopamine reuptake inhibitor, and you get those strong dopaminergic effects where it quiets down your mind, allows you to focus on what you need to, improves your memory, boosts your mood, boosts your confidence as well. And with Suboxone, it's a little bit unique as it is a patented extract from the Indian trumpet tree, and it can improve skin health, it can improve BDNF, so increase neuroplasticity, increase CREB, which is also associated with neuroplasticity. Overall, Ritalin is stronger, but Suboxone is natural and over the counter, so it is a good option. The only downside about Suboxone is that I noticed the crash is kind of ugly, where I'm kind of mean afterwards. I'm not really in like a super good mood. So for me, I kind of isolate it to when I have an evening to work on something, so it'll wear off when I go to bed. But for me, I wouldn't take it during the start of the day because then I notice I'll just be in like a pissy mood the rest of the day. That is the only downside with it, but it is very good. It works in 2 dosages, where either 100 milligrams or 500 milligrams, where some people notice a strong effect from a little dose, other people notice a mild effect from a big dose. So it really just depends on you, but it is a very good thing to do. Realistically, you could take everything that I talked about here to great effect, obviously depending on your sensitivity, your resources, and your subjective effects from the stack, but you could absolutely do that. One of the things that people don't know about ADHD is that a lot of times it can be subclinical hypothyroidism, and one of the best solutions to poor thyroid function is by taking iodine, and I experimented with it for 30 days to great effect, so check out that video.